Hi everyone, it's Ren here. Good to see you guys. Welcome to Renault's room. I think that this is getting old, right? I think this is getting a bit old at this point. Did you see this amazingly bright color that I'm wearing today? Like, this surprised you. Bet that that's the case because that's not like an Enneagram 5 style kind of t-shirt. It's more like Enneagram 2 or maybe 7. But actually, if you want to see, it's the well, first of all, you can see that it's kind of wrinkled. So yeah, not a super J guy here, but INFJ, at least J type, so that's confirmed. Yeah, that's like Eddie Action, my former one of my former organizations. As in, like, the last organization I worked for before going on my break. They're doing some work on the promotion of equitable and free education, quality education in developing countries. So, but that's not the topic of this video, obviously, as you can guess. Actually, Hazelnut is. Oh, I'm gonna say hi. I love you very much. Beauty. All right. I don't know, because usually she wants to, like, when she comes and she's purring so loudly and, like, she's kind of rubbing against my legs, that means I want to eat. She's trying to send me a signal. But earlier on, I went out. I came downstairs, like, to feed her, because that's the message I got. And I'm a pushover, so whenever she demands something, I give it to her. But no, I think that she just she wants to hang out here and and cuddle. But I decided that I wanted to make this video, so I guess I can't let her distract me for too long, because you guys are here and I want to give you some time. So yeah, I spent my weekend with 2 Effie Doms. Can you believe that? Yes, actually that's what I did. And look at me. I seem to have survived. So yeah, that's excellent news. It's good to know that it's possible to survive a weekend with 2 Effie Doms. But I would say that beyond mere survival, which would be kind of a negatively defined kind of contentment to have with the weekend, I just had a very interesting experience, and I thought that I was going to share this with you because it allowed me to get into, like, I don't know, to get access to some insights maybe about the NITI loop, depression, and how Effie Doms are really, really good when it comes to energizing someone who's in that kind of state, pulling them out. Of course, there is, like, a lot of strength and motivation and force of will that's required on the part of the person that's kind of hitting this quagmire, this rut. But at the same time, I really think that, like, Effie Doms, if they're healthy, can be so good and useful. And, like, I've always known that in theory, but it's nice because I feel like I have experienced that for myself this weekend. Now, the context is my dad and his partner, Patricia, they came over and they spent the weekend in Geneva, but they came over specifically with my dad's kind of large car to help me just with the move, out from Geneva. And so I'm officially out of Geneva. I'm done with Geneva, and to be honest, that's quite it's quite a good feeling. Maybe it transpires a little bit, but I feel relieved. It's behind me now, and I can prepare myself. I'm actually traveling in a few days to Spain, but after that, I'll be moving. Like, essentially, I'll be moving to Ireland on the 13th. So if there's anyone in Ireland, I know that there are some people. But if there's anyone that wants to hang out at some point, be aware that from the 13th of September onwards, I'm, like, literally living in Ireland, not just visiting, living there. So really exciting prospect. And, it's a return for me because I used to live there 7 years ago. But no, 6 years ago for 7 years. But yeah, so I spent the weekend, and they helped me with the move. And obviously, it's my dad. Hadn't met him hadn't seen him in a while. And Patricia's also very nice, and we get on. And so she was also happy to see me, and so we spent quite a bit of time just petting Hazelnut, because she's kind of here. She's waiting with her little head, like, oh, rub my head, please. So yeah, so I was with them, and at first, I'd spent like 2 weeks on my own, more or less, trying to sort stuff out, admin-wise, packing-wise, in my apartment. And I just didn't want to be there, but I didn't have much of an option, because at the time, my dad and Patricia were like going, they're just like kind of going on a tour around France for holidays, and it was amazing, apparently, like all the stuff they saw. And my mum had Airbnb'd our house, like the house here. So I had no access to this place for 2 weeks, because like a family from Luxembourg came, and so I had to be somewhere. And since I wanted, I had to move out, because I had to give a notice to move out in August. I figured, well, that's the perfect time to do it, and then give back the keys on the last day. And so that's what I did. But I was quite isolated for a while. Like I was productive enough with my writing and with my reading and with the admin and the packing, but I was isolated. I caught up with some friends, but I don't have that many friends there. I don't have that many true friends there that I would see like several times. So there's some good mates, like not quite friends, but good mates that I saw, but maybe once. And then there's a good friend of mine there, but he lives there, but he only got back from Australia. He went on a long trip to Australia over the summer with his girlfriend. He only came back like a day before I left for here, and with the jet lag and everything else, there was just like there was just no way we were gonna be able to meet. So we'll meet at later points. Sure, life is not over yet. Yeah, and I think I was looping. I think that I was looping on INTI. I felt a bit, I've been, because of the emotional shock that I experienced recently, and with just the fragility of my psychological condition, that's been kind of afflicting me for a couple of years now. Not being socialized enough, not seeing people enough. You loop in INTI, and I was, I think, doing quite a bit of that, and there were some symptoms of that, like overthinking, paranoia, a lot of anxiety, basically, and paradoxically also, because that's something that has to be emphasized about NINTI. And looping, sorry, it's like when that happens, it's like, what kind of analogy could I find for it? It's like when it's a bad analogy, but it's a rough analogy. It's like when you're smoking. You're smoking, it's bad for you, but you don't want to stop. Or at least it requires a lot of willpower, because it's good. There's something good about it, even though it hurts you, even though it's bad for your health. You're still smoking because you derive some pleasure, some benefits from it. You're dependent on it. And the thing is, the NITI loop is bad for you, but when you're in that place, paradoxically, it depresses you. It makes you feel anxious and irritable. But at the same time, it gives you the illusion of being the place where you're the most comfortable. And Effieing, engagement in Effie, just becomes a difficult thing to do, and you just want to kind of stay by yourself and with your thoughts, and you think that you're going to resolve everything that NI kind of drops on you. Yeah, Hazel, I'm here. I'm not forgetting about you. You think that you can do it all by yourself, and it's painful. It's painful to find yourself thrown into like an Effie environment. At first, it's painful at first, a little bit, like you're craving a lot when you quit smoking, and you can get in a bad mood, and you can get stressed out, you can get anxious as well. And so that can happen, when you're a bit depressed and you're going through a bit of an NITI loop phase. It's not like people often say, use Effie, engage in Effie, and that's going to solve your problem, more or less. This is a bit of a caricature, but that's the idea, and it is the idea. But the thing is, what has to be emphasized, it's at first it's not pleasant. It's only after a while that you realize that yes, you're finally kind of easing into this mode, and you're being kind of more social again. You're being more like kind of balanced again. and you realize only afterwards, Jesus Christ, that's kind of the state I was in, and you don't. For a while, you just weren't even really realizing you were going through that, because you were just in the midst of it. And like when you spend the weekend with two FEDOMs, like at first, the perfect kind of practical confirmation of what I'm describing is that like my dad kept talking, and my dad's partner kept talking, Patricia kept talking, and like they were always talking, asking me questions, being very enthusiastic, and like whenever I was kind of answering, it wasn't very talkative. I felt like all these words were thrown at me, and I didn't know what to do with them. It was almost like dizzying. And my dad's, typical Effie person goes, "But you're okay, my son. Like you sound a bit morose. What's going on?" And I kind of, part of me wanted to say, just leave me alone. I don't want to interact that much. Like, just, you can chat, and I'm in the background. If I want to participate, I'll participate. But I just, first of all, I thought that would be a bit rude. Also, like, since they were kind of really happy to see me and coming to help me for the weekends. So I tried to engage as much as possible, admitted to them that I had been a little bit cloistered and a bit secluded. And so, my dad is used to my personality, so he kind of understood that. But I still tried to engage, and it was a bit hard at first. And, I had to force myself, like, I was a bit anxious even. It made me anxious to start with, like, it was strange. But I kind of answered, and I accepted, it's very important to empathize with oneself, as a friend recently said on the INFJ forum, INFJs.com, great forum. You empathize with yourself, you appreciate that, you're not ashamed of it, but you know that it's something that needs to be worked on, and you allow yourself to be yourself and to try to nevertheless engage, and in the full knowledge that people are not going to judge you for how you're being. And maybe, being with my dad and with his partner, and also two FEDOMs, they're not going to make you feel, if they're healthy, they're not going to make you feel like you're strange or like you're not fun. They're going to try to include you and make you feel good, sometimes with a lot of intent and a lot of joyousness, and that could be a bit overwhelming. But in the end, little by little, day after day, like, I was chirpier and chirpier, and look at me now. So thank you, FEDOMs. No more NITI looping, and hopefully that's going to last for a while. All right, what's your thoughts on the FE and NITI looping, and what have you been up to, guys? Let me know, because it's been a while. Ciao.